They were just brainwashed. And when you take away that brainwashing, we were always good people.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're delving into the complexities of the notorious Ervil LeBaron's life, tracing his early years, the formation of the infamous LeBaron Group, and the disturbing legacy he left behind.
Ervil is as dangerous as any man alive and won't stop until he wipes out all rival polygamists.
Ervil LeBaron, born on February 22, 1925 in Chihuahua, Mexico, is a sinister figure in the realm of religious extremism. His life's narrative is a chilling exploration of the dark side of charismatic leadership, twisted religious doctrines, and the violent consequences that ensued. Early life and influences. Ervil LeBaron's journey into religious fanaticism can be traced back to his early life within a polygamous Mormon family. Raised by Alma LeBaron, a fervent believer in the principles of Mormon fundamentalism, Ervil was immersed in a household marked by multiple wives and a strict adherence to unconventional doctrines. Alma LeBaron, who himself had ambitions of leading a religious movement, instilled in Ervil a deep sense of devotion to the tenets of Mormon fundamentalism. The family's frequent moves between Mexico and the United States in pursuit of stability exposed Ervil to the challenges and hardships that would later contribute to the formation of his radical beliefs. As a young man, Ervil exhibited a charming aura and a profound commitment to the religious teachings of his father. These qualities would eventually propel him into a position of leadership within the Mormon fundamentalist movement.
Who is he and why should we even care?
Ervil LeBaron, self-styled prophet and patriarch.
The formation of the LeBaron Group. In 1955, Ervil LeBaron founded the Church of the Firstborn of the Fullness of Times, a pivotal moment that marked the genesis of the LeBaron Group. As the self-proclaimed prophet and leader, Ervil crafted a doctrine that deviated significantly from mainstream Mormonism, embracing polygamy as a central tenet.
My mom had 12 children, 7 of them with Ervil.
Polygamy within the LeBaron Group was not merely a religious practice, but a mechanism of control, strategically employed by Ervil to consolidate loyalty among his followers.
Ervil says, okay, I'll give you 2 other wives, and I'll give them to you for wives because I took your wife.
The group's expansion saw an increase in internal power struggles as ambitious leaders sought to challenge Ervil's authority, setting the stage for a descent into violence. LeBaron twisted the controversial Mormon concept of blood atonement to justify murder as a divine command.
Some of your husbands, if they don't start getting behind me and doing what they should and paying their tithing, they are going to be pushing up carrots in the garden.
According to his interpretation, death was the only way to atone for certain sins or disobedience against his authority.
It blows my mind. I sit and think, this is impossible. And yet it did happen.
Ruthless pursuit of power. The 1970s and 80s witnessed a dark chapter in the history of the LeBaron Group, marked by a series of violent acts orchestrated under Ervil's leadership.
Joel F. LeBaron was attacked in an empty home, hit over the bridge of the nose with a chair leg.
The murder of Joel LeBaron, Ervil LeBaron's own brother, is a grim chapter in the history of the LeBaron Group. In 1972, internal power struggles and religious disputes within the group culminated in Joel's assassination, orchestrated by Ervil. The motive behind the murder was rooted in a struggle for control over the Church of the Firstborn of the Fullness of Times. Ervil was tried and convicted for planning the murder, but his conviction was later overturned on a technicality.
Bribery was a big thing in Mexico. It was a way of life. And Uncle Ervil played that well. He hadn't grown up knowing how to manipulate and bribe people.
Ervil's ruthlessness didn't end with Joel's murder. He also orchestrated the attempted murder of another brother, Ervil LeBaron, who had separated from the church. Ervil survived the attack, but suffered serious injuries. This again led to Ervil's arrest, but this time he was released due to lack of evidence. The murder in 1977 of Rulon C. Allred, a prominent leader of another Mormon fundamentalist sect, also served as a gruesome testament to Ervil's unbridled ruthlessness.
That this man was leading his people astray, and God wanted him out of the way.
The motivation behind Allred's murder was rooted in religious rivalry and the quest for dominance within the broader context of Mormon fundamentalism.
My father was a very respected, influential person and had a huge following, and Ervil wanted that.
Ervil perceived Allred as a threat to his leadership and sought to eliminate him. He was also linked to the murders of people within his own circle who criticized him or wanted to leave the group, including his own pregnant teenage daughter, Rebecca. The crimes committed by the LeBaron group drew the attention of law enforcement agencies, leading to a manhunt for Ervil.
The FBI puts him on the top of the 10 most wanted list.
In 1979, he was arrested in Mexico and subsequently extradited to the United States to face charges related to the murders. The trial that followed provided a harrowing glimpse into the inner workings of the LeBaron group.
And I remember Ervil picking me up in the audience with his eyes. And we stared at each other for 2 minutes.
Testimonies revealed the extent of religious fanaticism and illegal activities, painting a picture of a captivating leader who manipulated his followers to perform unspeakable violent behavior in the name of twisted religious beliefs. Ervil LeBaron faced multiple convictions, including conspiracy to commit murder, resulting in a lengthy prison sentence. The legal proceedings not only held Ervil accountable for the actions committed under his leadership, but also exposed the inner workings of the LeBaron group.
How glad we all were that this chapter of our lives could be partly closed.
Ervil is sentenced to life in prison.
As he began serving his sentence, Ervil's influence over the group persisted, even from behind bars. The LeBaron group, now fractured and divided, continued their violence and intimidation tactics in a chilling testament to the enduring impact of religious extremism.
Ervil had ordered his followers to come bust him out of maximum security prison.
Death and legacy. Ervil LeBaron died in prison on August 15, 1981, leaving behind a legacy of terror. His life's trajectory, from a devout upbringing in a polygamous Mormon family to the orchestrator of brutal crimes, remains a haunting example of the dangers posed by magnetic leaders who exploit religious fervor for personal gain.
The daughter of the man he was convicted of killing said his death alone in a jail cell was a fitting end.
But the LeBaron group, despite Ervil's death, did not fade into obscurity. The fractures within the organization gave rise to splinter groups, each grappling with the aftermath of the vicious legacy left by their founder. Family members and followers struggled to reconcile their beliefs with the brutal acts committed in the name of faith. In the years following Ervil's death, some former members sought to distance themselves from the group's past, while others perpetuated the cycle of extremism.
This was an incredibly fearful time.
The LeBaron name became synonymous not only with religious fanaticism, but also with a family and community torn apart by internal strife and the repercussions of their leaders' actions.
It's not a matter of if the killing is going to go on, but just simply when.
The 4 o'clock murders. The 4 o'clock murders were orchestrated by members of the LeBaron group following the orders set by Ervil LeBaron in writings before his death in 1981. These killings were part of a series committed by the group as they sought to eliminate perceived rivals and consolidate power. A group of armed individuals affiliated with the LeBaron sect descended on a community in Sonora, Mexico. The targets were individuals whom the group considered enemies. 4 simultaneous killings took place in different states at the same hour, as ordered in a manifesto written by Ervil before his death. The motivation behind the 4 o'clock murders was deeply rooted in the group's distorted sense of religious duty and a desire to eliminate those they perceived as threats to their interpretation of Mormon fundamentalism.
Some people close to that sect would say that on June 27th, they were punished for their sin.
The harsh nature of the attack shocked the surrounding communities and law enforcement, leaving a lasting scar on the history of the LeBaron group. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Legacy and impact. Ervil LeBaron's legacy extends beyond the confines of his criminal activities. His influence, both during his life and after his death, continues to be felt within the broader landscape of Mormon fundamentalism.
When you read his writings, you would understand that these are not the writings of a man who is in his right mind.
The Mormon fundamentalist movement, which already existed on the fringes of mainstream Mormonism, faced increased scrutiny and skepticism in the wake of the LeBaron group's savage acts. Questions arose about the responsibility of religious communities to prevent the rise of alluring leaders who exploit faith for personal gain. His legacy is one of fear and paranoia. The possibility of secret followers enacting his vendettas long after his death led to persistent unease among former members and enemies.
Watching it now, it's just horrifying how much violence there was in our family history.
Deprogramming became necessary for many who escaped his influence, and the authorities remained vigilant against the potential threat of further violence from his adherents. The media drew comparisons between Ervil LeBaron and Charles Manson. Both men used their charismatic influence to incite their followers to commit murder, and both left a lasting impact on American consciousness.
He never dirtied his hands, never bloodied his hands, but he was able to compel them.
What do you think was the most chilling aspect of Ervil LeBaron's life? Let us know in the comments.
As long as that doggone book's out there, the Book of the Covenant, there's always a potential for someone to pick it up and say, I'm the one mighty and strong now.